Hello and welcome. I'm Rossy Sanchez, and this is the Mindful Evening Hour. I'm very excited that you're here for the first mindfulness and EI sessions, emotional intelligence. And I would love to know what you think about the format. So feel free to chat, text, or email me afterwards. Not now, though. I want you now to be in the moment. So let's start tonight by having you take 3 deep and satisfying breaths. Make yourselves comfortable, whether you're lying down or seated. That's perfectly fine. If you're seated, make sure your feet are on the floor. Your shoulders are back and down. Let your belly hang. Put your hands on your lap and open towards the sky. And now take one deep breath in. Hold it for a count of 4 and release for a count of 8. Take another deep breath in. This time, focus on relaxing your body. Hold it for a count of 4 and release for a count of 8. One more time. Deep breath in. Long breath out. And ask yourself, what is important now? Hopefully you answered, just being here. The Mindful Evening Hour was born out of the Mindful Lunch Hour, a series of weekly get-togethers where I presented to coworkers different topics related to emotional intelligence and mindfulness. And no, it's not a full hour, but mindful evening 30 minutes just doesn't sound good. So who am I and why am I doing this? Well, I've always been introspective and self-analyzing. I remember as a teenager, I wanted to be a psychologist, but read that people who self-analyze should never be therapists. And there goes that idea. Later on, I wanted to go live in a monastery in India, but read that only men were welcome there. Well, so much for that. So I did neither, but in reality, I've done both. You see, even though I didn't get my degree in psychology, the study of human behavior has always fascinated me. Most recently, cognitive neuroscience has caught my attention, and I've used these principles to literally rethink the way I do life, as well as help guide friends and family when they come to me with their issues. And even though I haven't been to India yet and don't walk around in orange robes, although truly I should, it's a good color for me, for several years now, I've been starting every day with the practice of meditation. This combination of science and spirituality truly resonates with me and has radically changed my life. I used to be impetuous and impulsive, and while I'm still Cuban and can be very passionate about certain things and are known to change my mind and do things on the spur of the moment quite a bit, I'm no longer reckless with my reactions and my emotions. I'm infinitely more grounded, peaceful, open, present, and in a word, happy most of the time. And I realize that we can all be this way with a little guidance, which is why I want to share this knowledge with anyone who's looking to truly enjoy the fruits of life. Because, friends, contrary to what you may have heard as a child, life is supposed to be fun. So that's my story. Now, there's a lot of talk about EI and mindfulness, especially during these COVID times. But what do these terms actually mean? Well, I created a short video for you that explains what they are and how they can totally transform your life. Enjoy. Would you set out to decorate a house that's still under construction? Would you bring in furniture before you've built the walls? Lay out a rug before you've put in flooring? Or hang drapes before you've installed windows? Probably not. Yet, that's what we sometimes tend to do with our lives. We look for love in another while we may not love, understand, and accept ourselves fully. We look to encourage others while beating up on ourselves. Or we look to control other people and situations while having little or no control over our own emotions. Emotional intelligence, or EI, is the ability to monitor your own emotions and those of others and to distinguish between them. Why is this important? Because rather than knee-jerk and react to people and circumstances like so often happens, you can learn to stop, assess the situation. What am I feeling? What are you feeling? And what's really going on here? And use that information to guide your thinking and actions. EI has 5 domains: self-awareness, self-management or self-regulation, empathy, to which I'll add self-compassion, motivation or inspiration, and relationship management. That includes social skills and leadership skills. The first is self-awareness. What do I need to be aware of, you're probably asking? Your thoughts and your emotions, which are nothing more than thoughts inside your body. Why? Because you cannot change what you're not aware of. Mindfulness is what allows self-awareness to take place. Simply stated, mindfulness is the act of focusing our attention. We think more than 6,000 thoughts a day. Our minds wander 47% of the time. Mindfulness is the ability to control this influx of thoughts, acknowledging them as they appear, but then letting them go if they're not relevant, in order to continue to focus on the task at hand, whether that's meditating, writing, or making breakfast. Self-management is the ability to master your emotions, make friends with them, not bottle them up. On the contrary, you want to observe them from an almost third-party perspective so that as not to label yourself with your emotions. In other words, instead of thinking or saying, I'm angry, you could think or say, I'm feeling anger in my body, because that's where the feeling takes place. Now I know this may feel awkward at first, but making that separation from your emotion allows you to question its validity. Figure out what's triggering it and where it's housed in your body, and perhaps mindfully release it, thereby accessing a much calmer response. Empathy is usually lauded as a very desirable trait, and it absolutely is. Yet I feel that many of us are much more empathetic than we are self-compassionate. And what I mean is that we can put ourselves in others' shoes and can be understanding and considerate towards them, but yet beat up on our own selves indiscriminately. Personally, I believe that if we concentrate on loving and accepting ourselves more, we will automatically be kinder and gentler to everyone else. Motivation is the next domain, but I prefer to use inspiration, or even better, a sense of purpose. Motivation to me feels like there's something you have to do that you're not doing in order to get to where you want to go, while inspiration is more of a calling, an impulse, a magical idea that compels you to do something you're passionate about. And that can lead to a sense of purpose. Because as human beings, we're always trying to find what that is, why we're here. And when you tap into that, then your whole life becomes so much more meaningful, fulfilling, and blissful. Relationship management, which includes social and leadership skills, is the last domain. And as you become more self aware, learn to master your emotions, become more self compassionate, empathetic, and inspired, you'll notice you're more open to new and different experiences and more curious about the unknown. Suddenly, bonds will strengthen, or you'll be able to walk away from people and situations that no longer serve you without guilt or remorse. You'll approach difficult conversations without fear, intending instead to have a positive outcome. As you set yourself free, you'll be more friendly and approachable. And as a result, you'll become a magnet for people who aren't sure what's going on with you, but they like it and they want some of it. I invite you to join me each week as we delve into one or more of these domains, usually through a story, mine or somebody else's, and discover ways to increase our emotional intelligence. And of course, we'll meditate. Remember, everything we look for elsewhere already resides within us. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or want to share something, we can certainly do it toward the end of the session. Today's topic is when your expectations aren't met. I know, always a hot topic, isn't it? I'm going to relay a personal story, and afterwards, we'll do a short journaling exercise related to the topic and end with a mindful meditation and some discussion. Sound good? My mother lives with me. She's a lovely thing of 85 who has dementia. She's very low maintenance, though, as long as I feed her. Now, my mother absolutely adores my son, who's 24 and lives a few miles away. Every morning, her and I take our dog out for a walk, and every morning, she'll ask me if I've heard from him and immediately complain that he never calls. And that used to upset me because, number one, I didn't want to hear the same complaint every day. And number two, there were days when I myself would text him or call him and he wouldn't answer. So it bothered me to see her suffering when, in my opinion, all it would take would be for him to give her a quick call. And the other thing was that, in my mind, the fact that he didn't respond immediately meant that he had better things to do than get in touch with us. And when you put it that way, then that can be painful to accept. So my thought pattern would be something like this. Why can't he just call her? It's just for a moment. She doesn't even talk that much. He doesn't think enough of us. He doesn't care. He'd rather be with his girlfriend or his friends or playing a game, yada, 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 yada. So I'd be streaming these thoughts, one adding fuel to another. And suddenly I've created this horror movie about my son in my mind, yet he has no idea he's the starring monster in it. He's clueless. So when he shows up to visit, what's going on inside of me? I'm feeling angry, frustrated, and resentful. And then naturally, he'll put up walls. Has this ever happened to you? Not a good time for anyone, is it? So the last time I caught myself going there, I did two things differently. First, I became aware of the thoughts I was having right when they started and the subsequent feelings it was causing me. For me, it felt like a rejection, and rejections hurt. But I realized that this feeling had no basis at that moment. It was a belief based on some past experience, so it was no longer relevant. It didn't even have anything to do with my son. I didn't even know what it had anything to do with, in fact. Then I also reminded myself that my son is working full time, studying, has a girlfriend that he spends a lot of time with, and has friends that he truly enjoys and he gets together with. They're important to him. So the guy's busy for the most part. And then I also acknowledge what a great son he is. He's loving, he's kind, he's generous, he's loyal, he's funny and goofy. Heck, he's just like me. Just kidding. And I also know that he dropped everything and come to our aid if we needed it. And so when I reached this realization, suddenly all these negative thoughts, along with their accompanying negative feelings in my body, just dissipated. Now, when I text or call him, I don't expect an immediate response. I go on with my life. And then the beauty happens. Because he'll call out of the blue and ask if he can come over and visit. And it ends up being a party. Now, when my mother tells me he doesn't call, I tell her, look, he's busy and you should call him. She may be 85 and with dementia, but if she knows how to dial anyone, it's him. When you're starting to stream because your expectations of another are not being met and you want to blame them for it, I recommend you pause, take a deep breath, and see if you can do kind of the same exercise that I did. Realize that you're creating your own little movie in your head for one, and then focus on that person's positive qualities, as opposed to whatever it is they did or didn't do that set you off. There may be times when you're too emotionally invested to see any goodness in the person at that moment, and that's fine. What you can do in that case is think of something or do something totally different, something totally random, something small, perhaps a bit irrelevant. Think of those purple leggings on Amazon that you liked, or that ice cream cone you love so much, or go for a run, or pet your dog. The idea is to stop fueling those negative thoughts because at the end of the day, they're just going on inside of you. They have no real basis in your reality. The one thing you must not do ever is tell yourself, I'm not going to think about this anymore because that never works. Because what you're doing is you're thinking about not thinking about it and therefore thinking about it. And what you do, pay attention to, and think about grows and grows and becomes more and more of your reality. There's something we have to remember. What's ultimately important in our lives is not that we're right. He said he would call and he didn't. I have a right to be angry. No, what I have a right to do is feel good. And feeling angry is as far from that as it's going to get. Oh, there's power in anger and there's righteousness in anger, but there's no goodness or kindness or joy in anger. Look, we may not have any control over what someone else says or does, but we have absolute complete control over what we choose to think and feel. So choose wisely, yes? Now I'm going to lead you into a journaling exercise. I want you to think about a similar experience to mine, if you've ever had one, which I imagine you have. A similar experience where your expectations weren't met. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So the two questions are, what was I expecting that didn't happen? And how did that make me feel? The act of what you wanted not happening. You're going to have 2 minutes to write about that. And then the second question, how did I react? And could I have reacted differently? So you have 2 minutes to answer or write about the first question, and then 2 minutes to write about the second question. And then I'll be back. Now, I want you to do a mindfulness exercise. Now, we're going to do a body scan. It's a guided mindfulness meditation exercise. As you're going through it, even though it's not explained in the exercise, I want you to specifically look for, try to detect where the emotions from that expectation exercise are living in your body. And if you find them, just let them know you've moved on. You no longer need them. Remember, it is just a thought that's housed in your body. Bring it up to the surface. You can talk to it as if it were a person. And say, look, I know you pop up all the time, but you really are not relevant, and I no longer need you. After the practice, we'll have a short discussion.
Let's begin by taking a moment to allow your body to settle into a comfortable position. You may close your eyes or keep them slightly open, allowing the spine to lift, the shoulders to soften. Today, we will practice a body scan. Taking a full breath in and a long breath out. Begin by bringing your attention into your body. Notice the feeling of the weight of your body on the chair or the floor, wherever you are. And as you breathe, notice how your chest and abdomen expand to allow the air to enter your lungs. What sensations are you aware of? And as you exhale, bring awareness to the stillness and notice the sense of relaxing more deeply. Now bring your attention to the top of your head, noticing any sensations in the scalp, down the back of the head, to the sides, to the face. Notice your jaw, if you're holding any tension in your jaw. Let your face be soft. Relax the muscles around your eyes and your mouth. Breathing in, breathing out. Now notice your neck and your throat. Let them be soft. Notice your shoulders and arms. Feel any sensation as you allow your attention to move from your shoulders down to your upper arms, the elbow, to your forearms, wrists, hands, and fingers. Noticing any tightness, any temperature sensations. Noticing what the fabric of your clothing feels like against your skin. Continuing to breathe in and to breathe out. Now bring your attention to your chest and abdomen, feeling the movement in your chest as you breathe. Bringing your attention into your stomach, noticing if your stomach is tense or tight, and just letting it soften. Noticing the upper back and the lower back. If you're holding any tension there, also letting that release. Now continue traveling down to your legs, your thighs, your knees, the calf and shin, your ankles, and finally bringing your attention to your feet. Noticing sensations of your feet against the floor or ground. Noticing any weight, sense of temperature, feeling of energy perhaps present in the feet. And as you continue breathing in and breathing out, now noticing the whole body, from the top of the head all the way down to your toes. Staying with this sense of the whole body for a few more breaths. And as we close, continue remaining aware of your body as best you can. As you finish with a full deep breath in and a long breath out.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope you have a restful rest of your evening. Think about what we talked. Think about what you wrote. Think about how you can change things in the future when faced with the same or similar circumstances. And I hope to see you again next week. Feel free to reach out if you need me. mindfulevenings@gmail.com.